What shapes our taste? What makes us who we are? Are there key ingredients that form our national identities?
Food is so important in people's lives that it has a strong link to the culture.
每个国家的国家菜呢，它的形成其实跟这个国家的历史跟文化都有很密切的关系。
But in one island, chefs, farmers, and food experts are trying to use the best fruits of its soil.
There are chefs trying to dig deep into our cultures, trying to find new uses of the ingredients.
To reinvent what it means to eat Taiwanese.
I think Taiwanese cuisine is still a concept in the making.
That always been a burning question for me is what is Taiwanese flavor?
It's what grows from this land and also the culture from this land that makes Taiwanese cuisine.
And finally, dig out what Taiwan can bring to the table of world cuisine.
It's not to find out an answer of what is Taiwan flavor. It's to ask the question and then we start thinking about it. What is the color of Taiwan? What is the shape of Taiwan?
Taipei, Taiwan, a city of almost 3 million inhabitants, hosting a diversity of cultures that are reflected in the food on offer.
You can get major Chinese provincial cuisines here, as well as best Japanese food. You can find cheap eats at night markets, at food stalls. You can also find fine dining places. So you can find every range of dining experiences here in Taiwan.
台湾菜呢，就像一个贴了标签的空瓶。那从原住民以及17世纪以来到台湾的汉人呢，就一层一层叠上了他们各自独特的饮食方式以及饮食文化。那也构成了目前我们看到的台湾菜呢，就呈现一个非常缤纷而且丰富多元这样的一个饮食景观。
You cannot name just one dish to represent Taiwan because we have so many cultures and we each have something representative of that culture. And we are still trying to figure out the definition of Taiwanese cuisine.
However, in recent years, chefs and food experts have come together in search of an answer.
Is there anything that represents a contemporary Taiwanese? And how do I explain this is who we are? So I feel that we don't have a specific identity in our cuisine, and we don't have a present form of ourselves.
To understand the present and build the flavors of Taiwan's tradition, the first step is to look at its past.
From 1920 to 50, we have a lot of trading from other countries. So Taiwanese become like a melting pot, culturally and also cuisine-wise, I think. That's when the fine dining Taiwanese cuisine is the best era, actually, for Taiwanese cuisine.
But the arrival of World War II wiped out the city's vibrant fine dining scene.
There is less wealth and money to support this kind of lifestyle. And after 1950, after the Second World War, there's less fine dining restaurant in Taiwan.
Manager Stephanie Ho had a dream of reviving the forgotten days of Taiwan's fine dining excellence.
When we started this restaurant maybe about 7 or 8 years ago, we wanted to bring back the vintage fine dining Taiwanese cuisine back into the market. So we went back to history and we went through a lot of research, but we didn't know what it tastes like.
Where do you find flavors that have been lost in time? To answer this question, Manager Ho turned to Chef Liu Tsai.
进入这个餐饮市场的时候，其实台湾经济正好的时候，所以那时候其实大部分都是拼周转率，因为大家都觉得说，你做手工的东西其实太麻烦了，大部分都是做可能像现在的热炒店啊，我炒一炒，吃一吃，我可以翻台。
The rising request for ready-to-go dishes during a period of rapid growth overshadowed elaborate and refined cuisine.
所谓这个比较古典台菜这样子的一个餐厅，那这种酒楼菜呢做法呢就是相当的费工，就说因为它很费工，所以没办法大量的来生产。
我觉得 好像台菜其实有一个断层的时间是我们没有看到的，所以我们是希望把这个复刻台菜这个台菜继续传承下来。
But to do that, Chef Liu Tsai had to go back in time.
老师，你好，我你变瘦足济呢。台湾早期在30年代这个时间，其实有2家店比较知名，我就是蓬莱阁跟冈詹拿。
88-year-old chef Huang Daising was one of the few chefs left to remember their dishes.
那我们去拜访他，在他们家发现了这个蓬莱阁这一本的菜单。
The menu he kept was the inspiration for Chef Tsai to start and recreate the dishes of that tradition.
所以我想要做一个蓬莱阁菜单内底哦，选一个看咱来做一个吼，海产料理啊。以前你若像台菜拢是做咧透地菜无，啊，我即摆是想讲鱼仔的部分啊，想讲要来共款用这个手法啊，做看有一个属于台湾料理的方式。
早期都安尼做啊，
蓬莱阁嘛是安尼做。
就这做，迄个做较油腻，较油。
所以跟迄个手法的透地，早期蓬莱阁就咧做。
就较早就做啊。
哦。
这些物件就是唔晓。
只是演变的对。
演变对。
Just as in the past, catering to customers involves constant research. Today, their restaurant is breathing new life into the dishes of the past by combining them with modern awareness.
Our vegetable fruits are organic. For example, our meat, the chicken, pork, beef, they're all indigenous varieties because these kind of indigenous variety actually suits the environment better, foreign varieties. And so that's better for the environment. For our seafood, it's all sustainable fishing method. So it doesn't really hurt our sea and ocean resources.
Using only sustainable ingredients earned their restaurant a Michelin Green Star, recognizing their dedication to promoting organic cuisine. To fulfill this mission, Chef Tsai personally visits many of the markets and providers to pick his ingredients.
卡马丁它其实是渔获来自于全台湾最大的鱼市场，所以它是从中南北部、东北、西半部那边的渔获都会到那边集合，在那边挑选。
Tonight, Chef Tsai is looking for the right fish to create a new dish that links back to the old tradition.
台菜其实有一个断层的时间是我们没有看到的，所以我们是希望把这个台菜复刻。那我们是希望说用这样的套菜的方式来绑我们的海鲜的部分，看能不能创造出一道菜，在这个东西又可以就是永续的这一些概念在里面。我希望它一竿钓的鱼可以有到600到700公克。我先给其他等下试看嘛，刚有机会那个，哎呀。没有啊，这个要卖给客人啊。老师下来以后就是采购这一种的。哎呀，是哦。其实我们长期以来都有在配合，那配合的厂商其实都跟我们本身的理念是一样的，就是它的鱼都是比较属于一竿钓的。我们今天买了6只，刚好是符合我们使用，因为刚好规格啊在差不多700到800这个规格。那刚好我们使用的都是肉质，觉得最好。那我们在包的时候也比较好包，所以我们今天刚好采购其实蛮丰富的。
And before it's time for a new dish to meet the palate of the hungry customers, Tsai makes sure that this time the tradition doesn't get lost.
我们今天呢，就是要来做珍宝鱼啊。我们长久跟老师在学啊。那早期因为海鲜的部分啊，都是淡水的比较多。那这一次我们其实啊，还是用老塞的那些传统的做法，这就是属于台菜的一个经典的套菜。那用传统的啊，就是米台吧。那我想要呈现是说，那扎底啊，就是那个米粉汤的汤头那个味道，我们还是结合老台菜的一个观念。那我们新做法是说，把这一个鱼的呈现方式跟这一些当时老台菜的时候野生的鱼比较少做，所以我们把它手法结合我们现在这一些野生鱼啊，让它有一个不一样的风貌。那我们现在上的叫山海珍宝鱼，是用老台菜的一个套菜的手法去做。 所以这个也是一个很繁琐的手工菜。
By rebuilding and innovating the flavors of the tradition, Tsai has managed to pass on one important aspect of Taiwan's dishes.
我觉得台菜来讲，它其实不像川菜，可能说哦，我就是很辣很麻。台菜其实它的香料都来自于我们常常熟悉的味道而已。可是这个融合的味道，其实我觉得它是一个效果。台菜其实它就是一个人情味，人与人沟通的一个感情的依附。
The passing on of Taiwanese cooking traditions is building awareness and defining a new trend in Taiwanese cuisine that could make it known to the whole world. But can tradition alone define one cuisine? Like every city has its own landmark, every cuisine needs a superstar dish. All across Taiwan, chefs and foodies are building on the tradition of Taiwanese dishes to identify what foods can represent Taiwan.
There are several food items that can represent Taiwanese cuisine. Xiaolongbao is definitely one of the more famous examples. Although it has Chinese roots, but then it has evolved into something that we feel very familiar with and we feel akin to it. I see it as a Taiwanese food.
那我想有一个蛮代表性的餐厅就是鼎泰丰。
Born in 1958 as a mom-and-pop store, this brand has become one of the representatives of Taiwan's flavor.
In 1958, my grandfather founded Din Tai Fung. At the very beginning, it was a cooking oil retail shop. And then business took a turn in the 70s, changing into a restaurant.
In less than 50 years, Din Tai Fung became a sensation.
We have 177 stores around the world, including 12 in Taiwan. We have 2,500 staffs domestically and another 10,000 staffs abroad.
And it was all thanks to one dish.
The xiaolongbao is the most popular dish on the menu. It is a very labor-intensive dish to create. We start from the dough, then we pinch it off into smaller pieces that weighs 5 grams to be exact. Then we roll it flat into what we call the skin of the dumplings. For the filling, it's 16 grams.
Plus or minus 0.2 grams.
And in total,
It's 21 grams plus or minus 0.4 grams.
so the margin of error is very slim for the xiaolongbao. The reason for that is because the xiaolongbao is one of the most delicate types of dumplings in Chinese cuisine. That is why we put so much emphasis on setting the margin of error so slim. Then wrap around into a xiaolongbao that has 18 folds, and finally ready to be steamed and served.
Accuracy to the thousandth is the key to preserving quality standards.
Customers come to restaurants looking for that familiar taste. They come in looking for that exact taste. How to satisfy them and put out the same xiaolongbao every day, every year, every decade.
Din Tai Fung is good at standardizing the recipes. It is exactly why it is so successful and has so many franchises all over the world.
Decades ago, the kitchen environment wasn't as open as it is now, so chefs are more hesitant in teaching other chefs their skills because they see it as their secrets. But that has to change if you want to open a lot of locations. So we put in place the mentoring system. At the very beginning, when a new staff joins our team, he or she is assigned a mentor.
Today, it is day one for newcomer Yang Zhongping. And as Din Tai Fung's tradition requires, she has been paired with a mentor who will follow her throughout her first day.
新人来到一家新的环境或是一个职场，他其实对于工作上的 SOP 可能没有这么了解。那因为鼎泰丰有一个小老师跟小学生制度，那他可以带领小学生在初期的时候一一做教导。对 ，OK 的手势很棒，好。
For the front of the house, we put a lot of emphasis on the tiniest little details, how the table should be set, the temperature of the tea that we provide, and cleanliness of the restaurant, so on and so forth.
筷子跟纸巾要呈现 T 字形的摆放。如果是没有小老师接触到的话，就还是会有一些紧张。
I took part in the mentoring system when I was 16, being the front of house. I still remember the first time I poured tea for the customers. I spilled it all over the table. It's my first time ever doing the job. And my mentor was right there, giving me support and apologize to the customers, of course. And just having the feeling of support. If you do something wrong, it's okay. I will never forget that experience.
When we arrived in Taiwan, it was actually the first restaurant our friends told us to go try. Everything I've had is really delicious.
Just as for the dishes of the tradition, the way of serving also contributes to forming a memory and creating a sense of belonging.
It's interesting that Din Tai Fung has very strong Chinese roots. It is cuisine from the southern part of China. You get xiaolongbao and chicken soup, and you get all kinds of dumplings and noodles that were traditionally regarded as Chinese cuisines. But then Din Tai Fung also developed its own style in Taiwan, blending different Chinese cuisines together or using local ingredients.
The ability to create and even reinvent their own tradition doesn't come from intuition alone.
The central kitchen is vital for keeping the food standards consistent. All of our overseas branches have their own central kitchen. Our central kitchen takes care of all the dumpling fillings. We process the meat ourselves and we grind the meat in-house. And there are about 500 staffs working in the central kitchen.
Manager Gilbert Lee is in charge of supervising that the food that leaves the kitchen is able to represent Din Tai Fung on every table in their stores.
我们这是鼎泰丰的中央厨房，是个6层楼的厂办办公室。像我们在中央厨房2楼的中厨区，这区主要负责我们的前置处理，以及包肉粽一些业务。一天的话，生产差不多3000颗粽子，每颗粽子包好差不多180公克，长度我们差不多到14公分左右。
The secret doesn't lie just in measurements and standardization.
每颗粽豆差不多60公克左右。再的话，米的话，我们选用浊水溪的原糯米，也是需要经过拌米一些腌制一些酱料的一些程序。在包制过程的话，我们在每一个的米肉的比例都是严格的限定的，包括它的烙的圈数、它的粽绳的松紧度这都会影响我们肉粽的口感这些我们都是需要他们的很熟练的技术来实行这个作业。
But whether it's the ingredients or the memory they help to create, Din Tai Fung's dishes' uniqueness lies in their unique flavor.
Just having everybody make the xiaolongbao the same way is very difficult. So standardization is the key for our success. But I would say simplicity is the key of our cooking philosophy. We try to keep everything simple and try to keep our food genuine, try to let the nature of the ingredients speak for itself. For me, it depends on my mood. If I want to have a casual Wednesday dinner, I might order the pork chop fried rice along with the vegetable spicy wontons. If I'm looking for like a sit-down dinner where I'm chatting with my friends for an extended period of time, I might get the different varieties of dumplings because you really need to sit down and just be patient to taste all the delicate flavors of each of the xiaolongbaos.
The flavor of Taiwan's human touch.
My grandfather passed away last year. Before he was alive, every single day, he would always go to the Xinyi branch. And he would sit in this little office and order a bowl of chicken soup for his lunch. And so whenever I think about the chicken soup, I think about my grandfather.
But can Taiwanese cuisine be defined by tradition and human touch alone? Or is there something more? One chef is exploring the indigenous flavors of the island and bringing them into the future. Taiwan is experiencing a surge in demand for dishes that can represent the island to the world.
There are chefs trying to dig deep into our cultures, trying to find new uses of the ingredients, and really to compare ourselves to others. And that comparison is actually very impactful because you start to think who we are and what represents us and what flavors we eat in our everyday life.
我们在跟国际社会呢接触的时候呢，其实很多台湾人会有一个疑问啦，就是我们要怎么样介绍台湾菜？
Do Taiwan's food innovators hold the answer?
Especially in fine dining, the sourcing of the ingredients is very important. So it's not just to revive the old recipes, but also we have to add new concept and new spirit to this cuisine. So this is kind of a new era for Taiwan's fine dining. And people would look into the depth of a restaurant's concept and the sourcing of the ingredients and how they provide their services.
In Taipei, there is one place and one person working new magic with old ingredients.
I always share this story on the first date when Raw opened. At the end of the first meal, first lunch we served, there's a lady that come to me and say, well, the food was good, but I don't quite understand that how do I spend thousands for Taiwanese ingredient? I thought I should have something better. What do you mean better? It's imported produce. Because at that time, in any proper restaurant or Western restaurants, they all use imported item. So it creates kind of a challenge or a huge impact to the industry that how could you charge in a certain price with only Taiwanese ingredient? Obviously, we have to find really top premium Taiwanese ingredient, which is already there.
After spending more than 15 years outside of Taiwan, Chef Andre Chan came back to his homeland with the goal of inspiring more Taiwanese chefs and restaurant goers to have more confidence in themselves.
So we started by, can I imagine that I was the guest, I sit in a restaurant and I close my eyes, everything that I touch is from Taiwan. Would that be possible? Everything that I eat or I point have something related to the culture. That was my original intention. There are many flavor combinations that uniquely found in Taiwanese cuisine. So we want to highlight that to our diners that this is something unique to us. I feel Raw's mission is to highlight those flavor profile.
By putting together the combination of Taiwanese flavors and Western cooking techniques, Andre started a new trend in Taiwanese cuisine.
I think first thing that has changed dramatically is nowadays you go to any restaurant, they will tell you this is the spring onion from Yilan, Sanxin, and this is cherry duck from where, or the rice from Yunlin. That has never happened 10 years ago.
With time, the concept of sourcing locally produced ingredients became more and more accepted.
We use 100% Taiwanese ingredients, and we use only the ingredients or the combination that related to us. So in a way that we kind of restrict ourselves in a very limited ingredients, cooking method, flavor profile.
Today, Andre's mission is reflected in his constant drive for innovation.
What are the produce that is born and raised here and then we never use? And what are the elements that even always exist in our cuisine, but it doesn't belong here?
To reach this goal, he has called upon a team of young chefs that are infusing his menu with their own experiences, like his first chef, Ben.
I always believe that Ben is born in a very beautiful generation because he witnessed how the Taiwanese flavor starts and how this alphabet was built season by season. And we started from using only Taiwanese ingredients until you start to look into more a cultural side of Taiwanese identity, more scientific side of Taiwanese flavor, geographically where we are and how it has influenced us historically, the Taiwanese flavors. He went through all that elements, and so now he can use all these elements freely to combine to what he will call the Taiwanese cuisine today.
And to constantly challenge yourself, you need to scout unexpected ingredients.
譬如说 skate， 为什么我们从来没有吃过这个东西？而这个东西一直都在我们的身边。另外一道，我也希望也有同样的感觉。我希望找一个很家常的元素，但是端到客人面前，你第一时间不会知道它是什么。然后当你在吃的时候，那个记忆慢慢回来。我想做一个皮蛋豆腐，但这个皮蛋豆腐是更现代一点的。
Innovation is the way Andre is contributing in refining Taiwan cuisine, even if it comes with strong pressure.
面对学当然会有压力，因为他应该说我来做之前没有那么强硬、那么严谨的厨房，那时候会想要把自己放在一个很高标准的地方，跟一个很比较严苛的地方。其他的味觉就是比我们来的更敏感。那平常我们在训练，就是要怎么样把自己靠近chef的味道，靠近他的味蕾，就是习惯他的味觉，我们才有办法在每次测试当中可以很快达到他想要的状态。
上面的 foam 再多一点，
但是每次给他试，其实就当一个考试。
I think raw embodies that quest, that self-exploration. What is Taiwan? And how do we present Taiwan? In the past, people place more value on important ingredients. But then Andre say, no, Taiwanese ingredients is great. And he uses creativity to make really outstanding dishes that is very fun and is tasty and has meaning. And it really gave us confidence to rephrase our cuisine and to really ask the questions and to go deep into our culture.
我觉得节奏掌握好，其他的就没有问题。这样就很好了。
Okay.
Tradition and innovation are converging. New methods and old ingredients creating a sustainable, inclusive, and refined cuisine. But in the forests and mountains of Taiwan are cultures that have made use of these ingredients for centuries. The confidence instilled by the opening of starred restaurants using exclusive Taiwan ingredients runs through the island, even in the most remote areas, which are poised to contribute to Taiwan's food landscape.
欧洲国家其实很多好的餐厅都在乡下，那我们台湾我觉得好像很少，山上有餐厅。我觉得台湾对原住民了解很少，他们可能知道台湾有原住民，可是不懂原住民文化。那我觉得，与其我们一直讲原住民文化，跟你讲台湾有原住民。 那倒不如我在山上开个餐厅，让你直接来面对我们的生活。
But when he went back to his hometown of Renari in the deep south of Taiwan, Chef Alex Pang wasn't just thinking about becoming one of Taiwan's best.
好茶是卢凯族，另外2个村都是排湾族，原住民本来就比较乐观一点。为什么会乐观？因为生活很困难，很多年轻人都要出去都市工作，因为这边工作机会很少，所以很多的机会是在都市。 那我会开这个餐厅，其实也是希望有这个工作机会，让大家可以在地去了解这个地方。怎么餐厅叫做阿杠，然后就是烤的意思。可是烤，你应该在卢凯话里面没有烤这个字，一定要烤什么东西连在一起，比如烤面包、烤肉、烤猪肉、烤牛肉，一定要串在一起，它这烤才成立。但是因为我什么都烤，所以我就用阿杠当做烤这个字。
那的确，这个原住民的烹调手法哈，跟其实汉人是蛮不太一样的地方，在于说呢，他们其实蛮重视所谓的这个原味啊。那所以呢，他们其实确实蛮传统的一个方式哈，就是火烤。
Chef Alex Pang studied with Raw's Andre Chang for 2 years before expanding the revolution and bringing international cuisine to his village. Local farmer Gana Perlu Du was one of those who benefited from the birth of Alex's restaurant.
我们从小一起长大的，他是比我小2、3岁，他在外面成功了，就回来 做他的事业，他很鼓励我们这些在地产业的一些农人，做一些在地食材的一个农人。我警察任职之内要退休前5年，我就开始种巧克力了。我要找一个非常好的一个农作物。我也觉得巧克力跟我们的文化非常接近，它的可塑性也非常好。
As Agam serves a particular dessert which includes chocolate sauce, Mr. Du became one of Alex Pang's main suppliers.
在部落，因为做一个甜点叫做吉拿棒 churros， 那 churros 需要巧克力，然后后面慢慢发现，连我们村庄旁边有人种可可，我们就来试它的可可，然后拿去给人家做巧克力，然后后面还不小心得了奖。
他有讲一段说，我们以后部落的小朋友以后会没有工作，如果利用我们原住民的山水文化土地，可能会有新的一个契机。他是一个非常有名的一个厨师，他也找我们这些在地产业的一些人，让我们一起去探讨部落可以走怎么样的一个路。
Working with local farmers made Akang's recipes closely linked to its territory. Every day, the menu is reworked based on the availability of local produce.
我们菜单就是因食材、因天气去改。如果台风来的时候，我们可能就没有什么海鲜类，还是海鲜的种类会比较少。我们不断找寻食材，也不断在想说它可以变成怎么样子。譬如说，我们做 cheese 好了，我们做小米酒 cheese、马告 cheese， 这也算是一个在地市场发展，是不是只有养牛、乳牛，是不是可以做 cheese？ 是有更多元化的，是不是可以让市场更好一点？
主要是因为它都用台湾的食材，在地的，然后有他们自己的一个调配的方式，还有很多是用原住民方式来做调配，所以可能是一般比较难吃到的风味。对我来说，这是很特别的味道，
所以就是因为很喜欢这个味道，所以会一来再来。
说安瑞江主厨他本来就一直从这个方向，其实以前我们在新加坡的时候，他也做了很多台湾的味道，做了很多台湾的食材的一个做法。当然从他开始，就很多的台湾人对台湾味这事情就开始在意了。我觉得这是很好的一个状态，这对我来说也是一个很好的一个状态，因为我就是想要让人家知道，我们原住民的文化。我觉得台湾料理到后面，我觉得就是兼容，因为大家好像一直要觉得台湾料理好像讲一个味而已。台湾味本来就不是一个味而已。
Indigenous cuisine in Taiwan is actually relatively not as prominent because of fewer population. But then Alex, he learned this presentation of French technique and local ingredients, and he used it to present his own identity, the Lukai tribe, and also the indigenous flavors as a whole. You get to have excellent ingredient cooked by fire to perfection and under a modern setting. So the urban people can easily understand this concept, and they would travel far from Taipei, from Taichung, or any other city to Pingdong, up in the mountain, to try his cuisine.
Taiwan's inclusiveness might be the drive that is pushing innovation in Taiwanese cuisine and redefining its meaning. And nowhere is this more evident than in the only place that represents a crossroads between Taiwan's past and present. A new wave of innovation is bringing Taiwanese cuisine under the spotlight internationally, thanks to a unique drive that is looking both at Taiwan's heritage and culinary traditions, as well as its current state-of-the-art. And nowhere is this revolution more evident than in one place at the heart of Taiwan's street food ingenuity.
In terms of food offerings, night market is the freest place on earth. You can find all kinds of food, cuisines, different cultures blending in the hundreds of stalls in night market. It is also very lively, crowded, and very happening. You feel free there. You get to choose amazing options of food. Some of it are very traditional, and some of it are very creative. It is just eye-opening.
A night market is always show what locals eat and what's their preference. When you get into any night market, immediately you know the flavor profile, what people like, reflects their childhood memories and their taste buds.
However, following the effects of a global pandemic and the ever-changing tastes in the population, Taiwan's night markets are at a crossroads.
Unfortunately, now, when the time changed, we have a different influence in our culture, and the night market is no longer our foundation of childhood memory. So now you see baked potatoes, sandwiches, burgers, or steaks start to have a different type of cuisine in there.
As more flavors and gastronomic experiences become available, night markets are striving to reclaim their own place in the local culture.
一方面，随着就是说大家经济水准提升，那可能大家会更加愿意去就是装潢比较好，那口味也比较好的这个餐厅去消费。
But if many night markets are wondering how to keep their place on the Taiwanese food scene, one place in the heart of Taipei is trying to bet on its distinctive identity to attract even more people.
华西街以前在早期的时候人文很丰富。民国76年开始以后，就是政府为了觉得说我们要有一条可以让国际观光客来这边游览观光的街道，它位在我们台北市万华区中间，就是一个很繁荣的街道。 它是比较老的社区，一般老的社区最有的就是人情味了，还有老的社区它有一些传统的美食。
Sticking to their traditions has enabled Huasi Night Market to keep consistency in their flavors and hold on to their identity.
我们街区里面就有3家米其林的必比登的餐厅，然后1家是1星级的餐厅。
Up until today, 2 stalls in Huasi have kept their BB Gourmet badges for 3 years and more. But their success doesn't come from food alone. To cater to younger audiences, Huasi relied on one of their signature stores. Since 1975, Wang's Broth has served to customers braised pork rice, one of Taiwan's most famous dishes, with their own twist.
它代表台湾的小吃，也是其中之一啦，也算是比较多人吃的啦，还是台湾的特色啦。
卤肉饭 is actually a kind of pork ragu on rice, and it is gelatinous because it uses pork skin and fatty meat of the pork, and braised in a mixture of soy sauce, sugar, and wine, and some spices, and also fried shallots.
But their recipe isn't the only reason used to attract customers.
因为我们有得了米其林嘛，然后生意变得比较好，然后我们就再投资在这家店，然后把它装潢的更加熟悉了，对吧？我们本来就是在夜市嘛，夜市都是摊贩嘛，那这等于是路边嘛，那跟我们在店面的装潢层级又不一样啊。
Wang was one of the first to provide renewed space for customers and bring change to the decade-long traditions of Huasi Night Market.
他们台湾小吃的那个传统的味道都有保留住，而且他们店的环境都还不错。
As families continue to cherish the market's traditions, international guests flock to savor the unique culinary delights.
增加了很多欧美的观光客，以前欧美观光客没有那么多，然后还有韩国观光客也很多。
Night market continue to exist and has hundreds of years of history. But then in the modern times, it is also a place where innovative food can happen. And it is a big tourist attraction. People come to Taiwan, they have to experience night markets. I think it is a good way to experience Taiwan's everyday life. I think after COVID, people crave for outdoor experience, and night market precisely offers that.
The mix of tradition and innovation that Huasi represents is at the core of how the new generation of chefs and entrepreneurs is creating the soul of Taiwanese cuisine. And this is not true just at night, but even more so at the beginning of every day. Every morning in Taipei, for 6 days a week, a crowd lines up outside this food market to get a taste of Taiwan's best traditional breakfast.
So it's my first time to Taipei, to Taiwan, and I'm literally here for 2 and 3 hours, and now I'm in this long line, so hoping for good breakfast. I was literally researching on the metro best breakfast places in Taipei, and it seems to be the case because there's a huge queue.
I'm from Portugal, and I just came here because this is supposed to be the most famous in Taiwan.
For more than 65 years, this stall has been the most popular breakfast spot in town, serving some of the quintessential Taiwanese breakfast delicacies.
台湾早餐店真的是在世界上相当具有特殊性的哈，甚至连在亚洲的很多国家，其实都不一定能吃到这么多丰富的一个早餐。它的特殊性就是说，它其实提供了非常多种类的食物。
I think Taiwanese breakfast is also as free as the night market's food offerings. It's just great variety of food. Traditionally, people go have a hefty meal in the morning. You can have 卤肉饭, you can have congee, you can have noodles in the morning.
我们可以看到有一些店，他会说全日供应早餐，就说早餐到底是早上吃的呢，还是说是某一种特殊形式的餐？好，所以我觉得这个也是台湾早餐文化很特殊的一部分。
The success of traditional breakfast chain stores shows how Taiwanese value breakfast as one of their most important meals, and it has opened the way for more Western brunch-style restaurants.
Brunch-style breakfast, all-day breakfast, that is more Western, is more trendy now.
Even though soy milk traditional breakfast stores have coexisted with Western-style pancakes and sandwiches on Taiwan's breakfast menus for the past 10 years, the younger generation seems less linked to the flavors of the past. So in Taipei, one young female entrepreneur has decided to do something about it.
因为我们一开始的时候，我都是在外商上班，然后那时候会觉得很希望可以成立一个台湾的品牌。我的合伙人他们家就是传统的早餐店，但就发现说，台湾的年轻人可能越来越比较不能接受中式的早餐，就是客人流失的越来越多。
Then 28-year-old Avon Shi founded a breakfast store aimed at bringing the old together with the new.
它对于台湾人来说，它就是一个传统小时候的味道。我们其实每一块的蛋饼都是需要用生面的面粉，然后跟水，每一天都是用现用的。它就是一个传统的蛋饼皮的制成，也就是说，现在的蛋饼皮，如果你去一般的早餐店看，都是加工的蛋饼皮做成的。但是它也渐渐越来越少了。因为大家为了追求早餐店要快速、要方便，所以越来越多店家都不愿意继续用原本这种传统的方式做了，所以才会是说为什么他们会觉得这是一个传统的食物。我们其实有稍微做一点改良，跟传统的早餐有一点点的不一样，是因为粉浆蛋饼一般大家的认定可能都是很软的。但是我们也因应现在年轻人可能在口感上的追求，会很喜欢酥脆，然后层次感很重。
Local ingredients were added to give old flavors a new twist.
台湾食材真的非常的多元跟丰富，可是我们其实都是从自己的生活经验去发展。例如说，我们会去逛夜市，然后可能我们会去吃热炒店，或者是说我们可能在菜市场可能看到某一个食物，我才会去发想说，那好像可以拿夜市的豆腐乳下去腌制，这都是我觉得很有特色，而且你可能在一般的早餐店吃不太到的商品，就是从我们的生活去结合。你来吃我们店的时候，你会发现这些东西好像都很熟悉。
我来自香港。我很喜欢吃台湾的蛋饼，就是有一些人说这里的蛋饼很好吃，就是有些香港的 YouTube， 所以就来了。
It's so good. I love the short environment, and the food is amazing.
Ms. Su is just one of the trailblazers that is driving Taiwan flavors into the future.
在口味上面，我觉得我们也是要一直不断的去想，怎么样可以发展台湾的食物。
Just like her, chefs of the new generation are redefining what it means to eat Taiwanese.
For me, Taiwanese cuisine, it's all about friendliness, warmness, the temperature. We evolve, we embrace, and then we mix all these different type of cultures and flavors into our cuisine.
Taiwanese cuisine is 3D cuisine. It is diverse, it is dynamic, and it is democratic. We welcome different people, and we are very open to all the influences who have come across here. So Taiwanese cuisine is free, and we welcome everyone to experience it.
An embracing culture whose tastes of tradition, warmth, inventiveness, diversity, and integrity are hidden in every bite one takes when eating in Taiwan.